He was one of the less talked about characters during the War of the Lance, but without him, the heroes would have never won. Greetings and welcome back to my channel, guys. How are you doing today? In this video, we are going to talk about Theros Ironfeld, the blacksmith who rediscovered how to create Dragonlance and brought them back to the Solamnic Knights, and with them ushered the victory of good over evil. Now, Theros was born in a small fishing village in Nordamar, and before he turned 10 years old, his mother passed away. His father took his anger out on his son, blaming Theros for her death. And a while after that, Minotaurs came to the town, pillaging and killing, and taking human prisoners as their slaves. Theros didn't get captured, he volunteered to join as a slave on board the Minotaur ship because it was far better than staying at home. After being captured by the Minotaurs, he heard one of the slaves that were caught with him planning to kill the captain. Theros, doing the honorable thing, snitched on his fellow slave, and in that night, the god Sargas came to Theros after his display of honor. And Theros, after that visit, starts worshipping Sargas as his new god. While he was on the ship, Theros started working in the kitchen as a galley boy. Theros put a lot of enthusiasm and effort into his work, showing that he is better than all of the other slaves. And one night, a Minotaur came over to him and asked him to assist him by sharpening his blades. And slowly, after seeing Theros' work, they started giving him more and more responsibilities with weapons. Now, on his 18th birthday, a member of the Supreme Circle won Theros in the arena, and he put him into service of the 3rd Minotaur army. Eventually, a Minotaur named Harn found Theros and traded his ownership over to him, so Theros could assist in the smithy. By this point in his life, Theros was a humongous human being, towering over all of the other slaves, and with a chest as wide as a barrel. So he took to the hard work of smithing easily, and quickly learned how to create leather harnesses and small creations of steel like arrowheads. In this time, the 3rd Minotaur army attacked and failed to conquer Sylvanesti. Elven cavalry attacked the rear of the army. Haran, his boss, was killed by the elves, and Theros was alone. And Theros was watching how a group of elves were attacking a Minotaur officer. He promptly dispatched of the elves and saved the officer's life. And for his service, this officer frees Theros from slavery and gives him a coin that adds Theros to his clan. Theros returns with the officer to the capital city of Lakinos, and he goes to find Harn's brother, Harl, to inform him of his demise. Now, in the city of Lakinos, Theros finds Harl working in a smithy, and when he noticed that Harl didn't see him, Theros started working around the shop, cleaning up and organizing things. And as Harl completes his work, showing appreciation for the deliverance of the hard news, Theros manages to come to an agreement with him to become his apprentice, so Theros could learn how to create weapons. Now, for the next 2 years, Theros stays with Harl, learning the trade of making superior swords and other weapons, and eventually he even attains the rank of Master Smith. And at this point, he decides that it's about time to leave the Minotaurs and go back to the lands of the humans, and he finds himself in the city of Sanction. Now, for the next 7 years in the city of Sanction, Theros works hard, gaining a reputation for creating strong, dependable weapons, and people all around the city and the area want to commission his work. And this is also when he takes the last name Ironfeld, just to better promote his business. And he also falls in love with a barmaid named Marissa. Just before the War of the Lance, in the year 342 AC, Dargon Morgoth wanted Theros to join up with his army, and he would pay him well for doing so. Theros, on the other hand, did not want to be part of this anymore. He wanted to work in his own shop, have his own time, and spend it with his lover. Dargon was enraged by Theros' rejection, so he hired a black-robed wizard to enchant a sword that when Theros thrust it into the fire, dragons came out of it, burning down his forge and leaving Theros with nothing. After this incident, Theros does join Morgoth and gets paid extremely well for working with the man. Theros did have to leave his lover behind in Sanction, but he did promise that he will eventually come back to her. After a while, Theros gets sick of all of the slaughter that Morgoth's men do, and eventually he just ups and leaves the raiders, going back to the city. And for this offense, Morgoth's men put a bounty on his head and a warrant to kill. When Theros finally manages to return to Sanction looking for Marissa, he finds out that Morgoth had killed her just to teach him another lesson. And as that happened, he got captured by a raider named Yuggoth. The guy threatened to turn him over to Morgoth unless he worked for him. So for the next 5 years, Theros was essentially a slave, working for Yuggoth and his raiders, creating weapons for them to continue the slaughter. And finally, when Yuggoth was killed by an elven sharpshooter, a clan of hobgoblins find Theros and give him the same ultimatum: work for them or be turned over to Morgoth. So he spends another 2 years creating weapons for the hobgoblins until he finally manages to escape and he moves to Solas. Now a few years have gone by while he was working in Solas, again creating a reputation of an honest, hard-working blacksmith who knows his craft and doesn't get in the business of other people. A Quellenesti elven prince by the name of Gilthanas Kanan comes over to Theros and asking him for assistance. See, the elves of Quellenesti are leaving their ancestral lands, trying to build ships and going to northern Ergoth to escape the war. And they need his assistance and his knowledge in crafting metalwork to help build these ships. While he was there, he develops a friendship with Gilthanas and the elves. And after a full year of assisting the elves, Theros finally returns back to Solas, only to find out that things went horribly wrong. There is a hobgoblin comes over to him and forces him into creating weapons for him and his troops. Now Theros had enough of the dark forces and he starts creating flaws in his blades. And he also works with the resistance, helping the elves escape the city, so the Toad and his people will not find them and kill them. Shortly after the city was conquered, Lord Toad's troop, who are extremely pissed at Theros for creating inferior weapons, turn out to be Draconians and they attack Theros in his smithy. In the fight, they remove his right arm as punishment for creating those inferior weapons. And after that, he is thrown into the slavers' wagons. And for his good fortune, he was in the wagon with Goldmoon from the companions. Goldmoon uses her clerical powers and manages to stop the bleeding and close the wound. And as this is happening, as Theros is on the doors of death, Sargas appeared to him in a dream. And in it, Sargas releases Theros from his servitude, allowing him to choose a new god if he wanted to. And Theros chose Mishkal. And after Theros made that choice, he finds out that his long-dead mother worshipped Mishkal and she resides in the goddess's halls. Now on their way to Paxaris, the group were saved by the elves. Gilthanas, recognizing Theros, brought him and the companions back to the city of Quellenesti. And during his stay there, he manages somehow to defeat the Grey Wraith, a ghostly protector of the silver arm of Ergoth. And after defeating him, he gained the magical artifact, and with it he joined the elves on their way to southern Ergoth, and he lived with them there. Theros did eventually branch out and join the Kagonesti elves, and he learned Elvish even. Now eventually, Theros does meet up with the companions once again, and he helps them there escape from the elves, and assisted them on their journey to the Silver Dragon Mountain. And in this mountain, Theros learns the secrets of creating the Dragonlances, using the dragon metal that is found inside the mountain. He works hard and diligently, and his journey from the Silver Dragon Mountain over to the War Council was full of perils as he traveled with Tess and Fizban, but eventually he did arrive at the Isle of Sanskrit. And as the Council of Whitestone were arguing among themselves, Theros launches the Dragonlance through the White Stone and sundering it. Now, the White Stone is told to be a gift from Paladin himself and was supposed to be unbreakable. But this show of force stopped the council dead in its track, giving them hope for victory once more, uniting the forces of the elves, dwarves, and humans against the forces of evil. After handing over the Dragonlances to the council, Theros vanishes quietly, and following the War of the Lands, it is not really known what has happened to Theros. The only thing that we do know is that he went back to southern Ergoth, and now he is living among the Kogonesti again, and staying as far as he can from all of the action. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed this short video about Theros Ironfeld. Maybe not a flashy hero of the lands, but without him, they would have never won. I hope you all have a great day, and we'll see you in the next video.